Oh, CO beautiful people, I hope you all are doing well. Now, I initially planned to go live to discuss this exciting array of information I researched on this topic. However, I decided to create a video instead because I didn't want to miss sharing any crucial details that I believe everyone needs to know about this historic event that recently occurred. So in this video, I will explain many aspects of the situation and present some major solutions to the challenges faced by more than 90 million Americans due to the actions of the Trump administration. Now, although I will start by discussing some unfavorable news, I also want to share the positive information that will address the challenges like millions of people will be facing due to the orders issued by the Trump administration. So to get to the point, I want to emphasize that you need to take action in order to benefit from the measures Trump has implemented. So let's start with the bad news. All right, now, first, the bad news is that the Trump administration has announced the resumption of collections on defaulted federal student loans, which will begin on May 5th. Now, that's just a few days from now, beautiful people, okay? This includes wage garnishments and withholding of federal benefits for borrowers who have not made payments for over 270 days, marking a significant policy shift after a pause during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm going to get into that, okay? But first, let me play this video of the White House press secretary making the announcement.
In other news, the Trump administration has announced we will put an end to Joe Biden's illegal student loan bailout attempts. No student loan has been referred to collections since March of 2020. That comes to an end. On May 5th, the Department of Education will resume involuntary collections for borrowers with defaulted federal student loans. The student loan portfolio controlled by the federal government is nearly $1.6 trillion, but fewer than 4 out of 10 borrowers are in repayment. This is unsustainable, unfair, and a huge liability for American taxpayers. Debt cannot be wiped away. It just ends up getting transferred to others. So why should Americans who didn't go to college or went to college and responsibly paid back their loans pay for the student loans of other Americans? The Trump administration will never force taxpayers to pay student loan debts that don't belong to them. Student loan borrowers need clarity, and we're finally giving it to them. Borrowers will now be clearly expected to repay their loans, and those who default on their loan obligations will face involuntary collections. The government can and will collect defaulted federal student loan debt by withholding money from borrowers' tax refunds, federal pensions, and even their wages. America is $36 trillion in debt. We must get our fiscal house in order and restore common sense to our country. If you take out a loan, you have to pay it back. It's very simple. President Trump will not kick the can down the road anymore.
Now, I can appreciate a small portion of their reasoning for doing this. You know, they saying to eliminate the $36 trillion debt, wherever that came from, okay, because we didn't ask for that. But anyway, and that they said that it's unfair for American taxpayers to foot the bill. I could agree with that, okay? However, I am concerned about a few things, like how some individuals, mainly Trump supporters, who are taken to social media to criticize those struggling to pay off their student loan debt. You don't need to rub it in their faces as if they don't know how to pay their bills. I need you to understand that these individuals have other priorities that consume a significant portion of their income. Most of them have jobs that pay poorly, despite having graduated from college with degrees. Life is lifing for particular people, and they need to survive just as well as you do. Some individuals have children and need to keep a roof over their heads. Unfortunately, the rising cost of gas, electricity, rent, insurance, and groceries, okay, are overwhelming for many people, making it difficult for them to manage their student loan debt, even if they wanted to. So it's not fair for you to say they shouldn't have gone to college or university then. as this situation has been prevalent in America for many years. Americans took a huge financial hit when COVID-19 arrived in 2020. And millions of people's lives changed for the worst. Newsflash, they still have not recovered from that. Now, you would think that the government would have established some form of loan relief for these individuals by now, especially since Trump is bragging about bringing back $2 billion a day to America after imposing his new tariffs on these foreign countries. I'm going to play the clip.
Because we have a big job to do. No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents, they wouldn't have done it. And it had to be done. What was happening to us on trade, not only with, if you look at it, not only with China, but China was by far the biggest abuser in history.
China.
And others also. But somebody had to do it. They had to stop because it was not sustainable. Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right. And now I've reversed it. It's for a short period of time, but we made $2 billion. We're making now $2 billion a day. And
see,
somebody had to do it. Roger actually said it. Charles Schwab was here a little while ago, one of the great financial people, and he said he's been waiting for 40 years for somebody to do what I did over the last month. And if you didn't do it, you wouldn't have a country. It wouldn't be sustainable. So I'm honored to have done it. And, look, nothing's over yet, but we have a tremendous amount of spirit from other countries, including China. China wants to...
Spirit? Now, anyway, I want to get into this right here because, Trump is saying that America is making a total of $2 billion a day since his tariffs took effect on April 2nd, 2025. And with today being April 25th, 2025, this is the day I'm recording this, America has made a total of $46 billion in just 23 days so far. Now, I understand that people need to pay their debts, and I'm sure that they would if you gave them some relief in the areas I mentioned earlier. Now check this out. Let me show you something else. Look at it, okay? Because if this cycle of $2 billion a day continues for the rest of the year, the United States government will have made about $548 billion in 1 year, or for the rest of the year rather. Okay? Now taxpayers wouldn't need to worry, and neither should the government really. I mean, especially since you are claiming how much fraud you indulged this government when auditing the government spending. If those government officials involved in fraudulently spending taxpayer dollars on unnecessary things don't get penalized, then neither should the American people be punished for not being able to repay their student loan debts, right? I mean, you can't be concerned about taxpayer dollars when it comes to Americans owing money while pursuing a higher education, yet be unconcerned about the government fraudulently spending taxpayers' money for years without facing any penalties. See, you're favoring the government and not Americans at this point, right? See, you really can't trust any of these politicians to keep their words on things that matter most to Americans. I always say this. They're all the same. Now, take this chart, for example, which compares Trump and Biden's proposed policies on student loans during the 2020 election. Now, look closely. When it comes to repayment plans, Trump will maintain the Obama-era rules. Borrowers are required to pay 10% of their discretionary income, with loan forgiveness starting after 15 years. In contrast, under Biden's plan, borrowers will pay 5% of their discretionary income with no payments required for those earning under $25,000, and forgiveness would occur after 20 years. Now, when it comes to loan forgiveness, Trump was open to the idea, but he didn't have a policy in place for it. Biden said that he would forgive $10,000 for federal borrowers. Okay. Now, where it says here for the for-profit colleges, the borrower defense, Trump repealed the Obama era rules while Biden said that he will reinstate it. Right? Now, right up under that, free college. Listen, Trump was opposed to free college, while Biden said college will be free for households with an income of under $125,000. Now, would these student loans disappear if borrowers claim bankruptcy? Trump didn't state any position on that note, and Biden said that he would ease the standards. So now, jumping ahead, on his way out of the White House earlier this year, the Biden administration approved a student relief program right before Trump took office. And it says, quote, "Today, my administration is approving student loan relief for more than 150,000 borrowers, bringing the total number of Americans who have had their student debt canceled by my administration to over 5 million. These 150,000 borrowers include almost 85,000 borrowers who attended schools that cheated and defrauded their students. I mean, those schools should be held responsible. You can't just admit that and not hold these schools responsible. 61,000 borrowers with total and permanent disabilities, and 6,100 public service workers. Now, I'm not a fan of neither party. Like, I don't support Democrat nor Republican. I'm an independent thinker. So I can acknowledge that Biden, along with other political figures, contributed to the financial issues students face or were facing, okay? However, I can also say that he made several attempts to address these problems once he became president. And the Supreme Court blocked it, and the opposing party rejected some of them as well. Here, I'm going to play the clip.
Now to the latest on President Biden's student loan forgiveness plan, giving relief to millions of Americans, but not everyone is happy about it. Our chief White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, has more on that. Good morning, Cecilia.
Hey, Amy, good morning to you. The White House says that this could potentially provide life-changing help to some 40 million Americans, and many of those students who are racked up with that student debt. They are certainly celebrating this morning. But as you said, that criticism is pouring in from both sides of the aisle, with some saying this goes too far and others saying it doesn't go far enough.
Breaking news from the White House this morning. The Biden administration has announced that it is automatically forgiving $39 billion in federal student loan debt for thousands of borrowers. NBC News senior White House correspondent Kelly O'Donnell joins us with this breaking story. So, Kelly, this news comes about 2 weeks after the Supreme Court rejected President Biden's debt relief plan that would have forgiven up to $20,000 in student loans for more than 40 million people who have been impacted by that. So what do we know about this new announcement from the Biden administration?
That's being greedy.
Jill, when the Supreme Court put that plan from the Biden administration on the shelf, saying that was not lawful, they could not go forward, the president and the Department of Education were looking for other ways within the law that they could argue where they have authority to try to relieve some of the burden. And so the Department of Education today is announcing this plan, which looks at a system that connects repayment of loans to people's income level. And it found that there was an administrative flaw, they say, in the system over the years that needed to be updated and fixed. And this is under the powers under the Higher Education Act and within the authority of the department secretary. And so what they've been able to do is grant this loan forgiveness for those people who qualify under this program. And it's a considerable number. And it is much smaller than the sweeping plan they talked about. But it's one of the tools that the administration and the president have said they would be trying to deploy, looking for ways within the law, within the system to provide relief. And so they argued that there were credits that those borrowers who had been paying back their loans over years were not properly given. And under the law, those who had paid their loans over a sweeping period of 20 to 25 years were supposed to have forgiveness. And the math on that had not been kept up to date. And so this is part of trying to make this administrative fix. And the result will be giving a reduced burden of debt and a real windfall for those who qualify. Not a full piece, as the president hoped, but a step in the direction of providing relief for student borrowers.
Now, I mean, okay, hear me out. Even though he contributed to these issues in the past, Biden at least made attempts to address them during his presidency. The current problem is that the Trump administration has reversed Biden's final order regarding his student loan relief program. Now, even though he contributed to these issues in the past, Biden has made at least made attempts to address them during his presidency. Okay, the current problem is that the Trump administration has reversed Biden's final order regarding his student loan relief program. As a result, all borrowers who owe money or are in the process of defaulting will face serious consequences come May 5th. Okay, and that's a major problem for millions of Americans. However, there is a possible solution to all of this that I want to bring to your attention. So now let's move on to the good news. Now, between Trump's previous presidency and his current one, he has been pressuring large banks to relax their strict policies, aiming to prioritize small business lending over activities similar to those of hedge funds. This initiative is part of an effort to, quote, restore traditional banking practices. Hold on, let me put up some leads. Here goes some sources right here. It aligns with attempts to repeal regulations, such as the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund, and to eliminate what he considers now obsolete, that's a quote, rules to reduce compliance costs. Now I'm reading some notes that I took here because I want to make sure I'm right and exact. Trump signed several executive orders concerning this matter. This is the reason why I had to do extensive research on this, and it took a couple days. But this does directly benefit Americans who are small business owners in need of expansion. Okay, for example, let me give you an example. In January of this year, Trump launched a massive 10-to-1 deregulation initiative, which can be reviewed on the White House website. Give me a second. Let me pull that up. All right, here it is right here. Now, the good news is that now these banks are lending out more money than they did under the Biden administration, with a 74% increase in SBA loan approvals. Okay? Now, this is major because it is similar, but not quite the same as the PPP loans that Trump approved during his last presidency. However, it can be that impactful if you take full advantage of what has been made available for your business. I say all of this because most of you have small businesses, and for some odd reason, this is not known as well as it should be. I was notified recently by two close friends of mine who own businesses as well, and they were telling me about this situation like, hey man, I just got approved for SBA loan, and both of them, okay? And it was just ironic that both of them did it, at the same time, and they contacted me. This was about a day or two ago, if I'm not mistaken. I asked them, what was the difference this time? They explained that the process of attaining these loans had become much quicker compared to before. So $250,000 was the SBA loans that each of them got. Okay, now their interest rates was 0%. Okay, because they were qualified buyers. I'm not saying that you guys will probably get 0%, because I did do more research on that, and I'm gonna tell you about that here in a second. But when they told me this news, of course I was shocked. I was excited. And I was like, okay, so which banks did you use? One of my friends went through Navy Federal, and the other one chose Bank of America. Now, hold up. Because I'm aware that Bank of America has a poor reputation for lending to needy. So I immediately informed members of the 13% community server. And then right after that, I began researching on my own to gather as much information as possible concerning this matter, especially since our local news outlets are not covering this news for some odd reason. And yeah, it is true. Okay, since Trump took office in January, excuse me, still getting over a cold. since he took over office in January this year, the U.S. Small Business Administration has quietly approved over 1,120 7(a) loans, with the total loan volume of $677 million in just the first 90 days of Trump's presidency. Also, the SBA is now approving the 504 loans, which are the long-term loans at fixed rates that finance up to $5 million for significant fixed assets that promote business growth and job creation. Now, I know some of y'all gonna be like, well, how can small businesses get $5 million? If you look at their rules and regulations, they tell you up to $7 million, or you got to keep it under $7 million as far as your profit. Now, I can't lie. This is major news. And I'm genuinely surprised that not many people are discussing it. However, I see that some individuals are taking advantage of the opportunity, and you should too. Oh, let me make sure I talk about this because I wrote some notes down. It's important to note a couple of things here. Excuse me. The credit unions, such as Navy Federal, do not refer to these types of loans as SBA 7(a) loans. Damn. Okay. Instead, they might call them business development or business expansion loans. Also, not all banks guarantee that 0% interest rate that I mentioned earlier for the SBA 7(a) loans. Now, based on my research, the interest rates are typically capped at around 4.5% if your business qualifies, and that's still great. Okay. Let me mention something here real quick. Listen, I encourage all of you to start a business or start that business you thought about. Okay. Or finish your business plan and follow through with your agenda to start a business or improve it if you got one already with these available loans and manage your business. Do not do this if you plan on not paying your loans back. Don't do it. Now, I'm not here to tell you how to use your $250,000 business loan, but just think about it. You could consider leveraging it to expand your business and generate a larger profit, okay? Which can help pay off things like your personal student loan debt, for example, okay, from the profits your business earns. I'm just saying. Now, speaking of profits, it's important to remember that these types of business loans are exclusively for for-profit businesses. Okay, it is only for for-profit businesses. While most lenders have minimum requirements because of the pressure Trump placed on these banks, this doesn't mean that you can neglect your business and still expect to receive a loan of $250,000 or more from your credit union or bank. That's not how it works. Okay, unlike a grant, a loan must be paid back. So you need to ensure that your business is in good order, okay, to make this beneficial arrangement for you and your business. In other words, don't mismanage your money, please. Okay, be serious about this. Take advantage of this, okay? Now, with all of that being said, let me borrow $50. Hold on, listen. Let me borrow $50, right? Because hold on. I'm just saying. Look. Hey, let me tell you why, right? Let me borrow 50, okay? Now, I'm just playing. I'm just kidding. But on a serious note, okay, I would like for you all, hear me out. I would love for you all, each of y'all, to set aside at least $25,000 of your business loan. Hear me out. If you, me, and millions of our people each contribute at least $25,000 into, let's say, a private trust that we create together, we can effectively build a nation. Let that sink in for a second. This would enable us to make our own cities and towns without relying on millionaires for assistance. In fact, once we begin to develop our nation, wealthy investors gonna come crawling. They're going to be inclined to support us, as their investment not only benefits the nation, but also increases their own wealth. So, you know what I'm saying? You see the potential here? It's really simple. Okay? Now, you all know that Trump is a businessman who has consistently focused on supporting businesses since his first term as president, right? This is the perfect opportunity to step up and take advantage of a life-changing offer. Consider this. Each qualifying small business can receive a minimum of $250,000. And if someone owns multiple qualifying businesses, they can receive that amount for each one. I'm just saying. The sooner you handle your business, the sooner we can come together and make things happen. Okay? And pull our communities out of poverty single-handedly. You know what I mean? And the government will have no choice but to start taking us seriously. Okay? Especially when we establish our own. So come on out of that play victim mentality and click that link in the video description and join us in the 13% community server. Join us. It's free. It's going to say 13 or the 13%. It's free. Don't worry. And let's actually do for ourselves. Again, I dare you. I dare you. I'm just here to make you think.
Yeah, DNA. Yeah,